Madam Chair, you are now live.
Okay, great. Good afternoon. I am Chair Anna Sexton, and I would like to welcome you to the February 22nd, 2021 Neighborhood Advisory Committee meeting. And the Neighborhood Advisory Committee consists of 9 members, all appointed by the City Council with representation from specific community sectors. Members shall be residents of the city or the city's extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction and shall reflect the socioeconomic diversity of Asheville. The term of office is 3 years. The committee was established to advise the City Council on neighborhoods within the City of Asheville's zoning and planning jurisdiction. The committee shall have the following powers and duties. 1, develop rules and bylaws for the conduct of its business, including but not limited to meeting schedules, officers, voting, and subcommittees. 2, develop a plan to strengthen neighborhood identity and resilience and to facilitate communication and cooperation between Asheville's neighborhoods and city offices. 3, develop benchmarks and standards by which progress towards implementing the plan can be measured. And 4, work on special projects that are consistent with the goals of the committee as assigned or directed by City Council. All committee members and staff are participating virtually, and we appreciate your patience as we work through committee meetings a bit differently. We are streaming live on our Virtual Engagement Hub, which is accessible through the Virtual Engagement Hub link on the front page of the city website and also linked on the committee page. We also have the option for the public to listen live by phone by dialing 855-925-2801 and entering meeting code 9247. For those of you out there with us today, welcome and thanks for joining. I will now go through and introduce all committee members who are participating virtually. And just a reminder to please make sure to mute your microphone if you are not speaking. And when you have a question or would like to speak, click the raise hand icon, and when recognized, unmute your microphone. Please remember to mute your phone after you're done speaking. Additionally, please introduce yourself before you speak so that those who are listening in and unable to see can recognize who is speaking. So committee members, as I call your name, please say a quick hello and introduce yourself and the region you represent for NAC when called upon. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the list. I'm not sure if everyone's here, but we'll find out this way. Mike Wasmer.
Hi, Mike Wasmer here. I'm an at-large member. I live in Southside or South French Broad, Retirement.
Great, thanks. Bobette Mays.
Hi, my name is Bobette Mays, and I'm a member at large. I'm also living in Shiloh, and I am the vice chair.
Peter Abzug.
Hello, I'm Peter Abzug, and I am at large, and I live in East Asheville.
Greta Bush.
Hi there, I'm Greta Bush. I am also at large, and I live on the east side in Parkway Forest.
Sharon Sumrall. All right, I think we're missing Sharon. Joe Fiacola.
Hi, I'm Joe Fiacola. I represent 28801. I live in the Weekend neighborhood, and I'm the recording secretary.
And it said Spencer Hardaway, but I feel weird calling you that, so Pastor Hardaway. Pastor Hardaway, are you there?
Looks like he went off. You may want to just continue. He'll be back.
Okay. Wendy Hayner. All right. I don't think.
Okay, here I am.
Okay, there's. Go ahead.
I heard you. Pastor Hardaway is the only name I'll answer to, so I appreciate it. My wife says that. I'm Pastor Hardaway. I represent 28803 and another 28704. I pastor Rock Hill Missionary Baptist Church. Everybody's invited. The only disclaimer is that every now and then I have something good to say. So if you come on a Sunday and say he didn't say anything, remember I said every now and then. All right. And it's great to be here. Great to have all the new members here. I think this is my last year, and I've got to run in 21.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
And
I'll be in and out.
oh, Sharon, you just joined, it looks like. Go ahead and just state your name and, oh, you're on mute. But once you unmute, just state your name and the region that you represent or your zip code that you represent.
Sharon 28805. Sorry, I just saw 530 and didn't even look at the 5.
Oh, no worries. We're glad you made it. And I'm Anna Sexton. I am the chair of the Neighborhood Advisory Committee, and I represent zip code 28806. And so now, I believe we will go ahead and take a look at the agenda. And Brenda, do we need to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. Now's the time if anyone has any comments, and if not, we can entertain a motion in a second.
I approve the meeting of the minutes.
Sharon, do you want to make a motion to approve?
Yes. Am I muted?
Nope, you're good. So we have a motion. Do we have a second to approve? Sorry, not the
second
agenda, the meeting agenda.
I second approval of the meeting agenda.
Thanks, Mike. All right, so now I'll go through a roll call and everyone can vote on approving tonight's meeting agenda. So Mike Wasmer,
Yes.
Bobette Mays,
Yes.
Peter Abzug,
Yes.
Greta Bush,
yes,
Sharon Summerall,
Yes.
Joe Fiacola,
Aye.
Pastor Hardaway.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think Wendy's here. And then Anna Sexton, yes. So motion carries. All right. Sorry, y'all, bear with me here just a second. I'm toggling back and forth a bunch of different tabs. All right, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order and introduce some new members to the Neighborhood Advisory Committee, as well as a new staff person within City of Asheville. So we have two new NAC members, Peter Abzug and Wendy Hayner. Welcome, Peter and Wendy, and thank you for your willingness to serve on the Neighborhood Advisory Committee. And we're excited to bring you into the fold and have you be part of the committee. So I'm going to put you, Peter, it sounds like just you tonight since Wendy's not here, put you on the spot for just a moment and have you just take a minute or two and introduce yourself, tell a little bit about yourself and what attracted you to serve on the committee.
Oh my goodness. Well, so I moved to Asheville with my partner in July. She and I were living in Falls Church, Virginia, and we worked for the airlines. And when COVID began, things started getting pretty bad with the airlines. So we left the industry and decided to move to a house here, which we've owned for a couple of years and rented out. And so we're still in some ways still settling in, but really glad with the decision, enjoying it very much. As far as wanting to serve the city is, when I saw the notice, I just thought it would be a great opportunity, not only to learn more about Asheville and to get out in the community, but also to understand how city government works, which I have to admit I have no experience in. So I am fresh. I'm a green apple all around. So I look forward to all of your wisdom and your tips and so on. But very glad to be here.
Great. We're glad to have you. Thank you, Peter. It looks like Wendy has also joined the meeting. Welcome, Wendy. Just to kind of get you up to speed, we just called the meeting to order and approved tonight's meeting agenda. And now we're in the introduction of members and staff and visitors. So I just told Peter I put him on the spot for a minute or two. And if you don't mind, I'll do the same with you to just introduce yourself and what attracted you to serving on this committee.
Well, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate being here, Anna. I have lived in Asheville, North Asheville, all of my life. And I am very active with our neighborhood CAN and also our neighborhood coalition here in North Asheville with the 28804. So this is my stomping grounds, and we live in this area, and I am just thrilled to be able to help with the neighborhood association. And I look forward to working with the team and also looking at ways that we can include and improve our area and listen to what our neighbors are saying.
Wonderful. We're glad to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we also have Jeremy Lett this evening. Jeremy is the city's new neighborhood services specialist. And Jeremy, just wanted to welcome you tonight and say thank you for attending. I know Brenda is very excited to have you on board, and we're excited to have you as an additional resource and liaison for NAC, but also for the larger Asheville community. And would love for you to do the same and just take a minute or two and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. So as Anna said, my name is Jeremy Lett. Nice to meet all of you. I look forward to working with you in the future. Prior to working for the city, I was in the Center for Community Engagement at Warren Wilson. And for years before that, I worked at Green Opportunities. I did a lot of work with youth around workforce development. So look forward to, again, working with you all, bringing some of the skills and some of my background into the position. And thank you all for having me and welcoming me. So nice to meet all of you.
Anna, if I may have a little leeway, I wanted to really underscore the need for having Jeremy here. And he will be primarily focused on community oriented problem solving. So as you know, my role is both community oriented problem solving and public engagement. So this is going to give us an extra hands and eyes and ears to kind of work with some stuff. Also, his position comes out of the funding that was divested from out of the Reimagining Public Safety. And so we will work very closely with our community APD community engagement team on matters of noise. And I know animal control and noise have been moved to development services. So we have some projects already waiting on Jeremy. He has a lot to, not a lot, but he's lived here for 3 years in the community. He knows a lot of community people. We just need to help him understand how the city works. So thank you so much all for welcoming him.
Yeah, we're really excited. This is a great role for the city to open up, to have someone serve in. So I'm glad to see it's happening. Now we'll move on to item 2, approval of minutes for our December 14th, 2020 meeting.
Anna, I'm sorry to disturb you. We have our council liaison on board.
Oh, Kim, I'm sorry. It was not in my previously written out notes, so I apologize.
No
Thank-
worries. Kim,
Please go ahead.
I'm so glad to be here as your council liaison. My name is Kim Roney. I live in the 28806, and I'm really thankful to be the person that's carrying information back and forth between this organization and council. I just want to say thank you so much for all of the time and energy that you bring to the table with your professional and lived experience. I look forward to working with you.
Kim, I'm really happy that you're our council liaison. So thank you for being here. All right. So now, and Brenda, please let me know if I'm missing anything as I'm going down this list. But we're going to move on to approval of minutes for our December 14th, 2020 meeting. And so just want to open up the floor if anyone has any comments or discussion pertaining to the approval of those minutes. And if not, we can go ahead and entertain a motion in a second. Would anyone like to go ahead and make a motion to approve?
And Joe Fiacola has his hand raised. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do not, the way that I have my screen set right now, I'm not able to see that. So okay. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
Okay, I was reading over the minutes again, and I found a couple of errors that I need to correct. Let's see, 4C, the last line says, and put out the word to those you know, so we a full house. Should be we have a full house. Further down the page, under 4E, it says no comments and dividing up into less than quorum groups should be less than quorum groups. And I have a problem with the choice of words in 4B, where it talks about the neighborhood services specialist position, co-building leadership capacity in historically disenfranchised neighborhoods. The word disenfranchised bothers me because it refers to voting ability, and I'd like to either find a better word in there like underserved, marginalized, or disadvantaged to get with the meaning there rather than having to do with voting rights being denied. Either that or just take them out completely and just say co-building leadership capacity in neighborhoods. I'm open to either suggestion there.
Okay, so with Joe's comments in mind, would anyone care to entertain a motion to make amendments as stated to 4C and the description for the neighborhood services specialist position?
I would say the unbiased, or no, underserved is a good replacement for disenfranchised. Underserved.
That works for me as well.
It works for me as well also.
Would anyone want to, and I feel silly asking this, Brenda, as chair, how often can I make motions to approve something, or is that something I should leave to the rest of the group?
I think it should be the rest of the group. And this is Brenda Mills, staff liaison. Please say your name before you talk so that people know who you are. Because remember, folks are not always watching. They're also listening. So someone just needs to make a motion and in a second. Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes that have been received with the corrections or amendments to what has been suggested. Mrs. Bobette Mays.
This is Mike Wasmer, and I second that motion.
Okay. Sorry, I thought I saw a raised hand somewhere.
Pastor Hardaway. I was just going to second, so
Okay.
that's all.
Okay. We have a motion and a second, and now I'll go through roll call. Mike Wasmer,
Yes.
Bobette Mays,
Yes.
Peter Abzug,
Yes.
Greta Bush,
Yes.
Sharon Sumrall,
Aye.
Joe Fiacola,
Aye.
Pastor Hardaway, Pastor Hardaway, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, I approve. Yes.
Great, thank you. Wendy Hayner,
I wasn't at the meeting, so I'm not sure if I can approve the minutes. Brenda, do you have any suggestions?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
I was not at that meeting, and so therefore I don't believe I can approve the minutes.
You just abstain.
Abstain. Thank you.
okay,
Can I offer a clarification as your liaison?
yes.
It's my understanding because of the process that we're in that an abstention is not allowed, but you can, if you have like a conflict of interest, be excluded from the vote. In this situation, I don't see the conflict of interest as possible. So you can either vote to approve them or vote not to approve them.
Thank you very much for that clarification. I approve the minutes. Aye.
Thank you. And then Anna Sexton as well. Aye. So the motion carries with all 9 members voting yes or aye. All right. Moving on to the staff report, I will turn it over to Brenda.
You all should have received in your meeting packet the staff report. I'm not going to go through it because I think you all can read very well. Just want to make a few little highlights. We have, I and a few of the city staff have alternately been attending the Coalition of Asheville Neighborhoods Board of Directors meeting. I had talked with the chair about a future update from CAN in some upcoming meetings that we have. So we're really glad to have that partnership again. And then the city will be beginning, we will be beginning next month, the budget outreach and engagement, equitable budget outreach and engagement. That is an extension or continuation of reimagining public safety. We're looking right now, we're digging into department budgets. Departments are looking at ways that they can be more equitable, providing some ideas. We will go out to the public at least twice to get feedback, and then the manager will give her report in late May. I know you all have been concerned about development, and so I just want to reiterate that I do attend the pre-technical review committee meetings and technical review committees. Sharon Sumrall is part of those meetings as well. I am also a voting member on there. So the pre-meetings are before an application is applied. It's a tool to help developers think through, is their project ready to even apply for? As you know, that can be a little expensive. And so it's been really good. There's some new methods been put in place. Like, for example, if you head to Simply City, they have to register their neighborhood meetings with the city now. So those will be public noticed on our website. And we will start putting that out in the next newsletter for people to look for. I do get a direct email when a meeting is registered so that I can get that out to the surrounding neighborhoods, and I will be doing that. And then I just want to reiterate our new staff person, Jeremy Lett's relationship with the APD community engagement team. They will be a great resource for helping us with neighborhoods. just to reiterate, they will not be road officers. So their main purpose is community engagement, community problem solving. We will be working in partnership with them to be working on that. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Brenda. I know you're so busy with going to all of those meetings, so we appreciate it. All right. So we don't have any unfinished business to discuss this evening. We do have several items in new business. The first of which is to talk about the Open Space Task Force. And the City of Asheville Department of Planning and Urban Design reached out to request assistance with appointing up to 2 members from the Neighborhood Advisory Committee to serve on a temporary task force on the city's proposed open space amendments. And in conversation with you all, Sharon and I will be serving as the NAC liaisons for that task force. And our first meeting is this Wednesday. And this is something that Sharon has been involved with for some time. So I will let her jump in and just kind of give a brief overview of the purpose of the task force and what we hope comes out of it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sharon. I got involved with open space changes on the Urban Forestry Commission. And Badilla had presented a plan on what open space, which is 7114 in the Muni Code, and the changes that they wanted to make to it. It's an extremely complicated ordinance unless you're knee deep in planning and building. So it's taken a lot of time to explain the old ordinance and then try to get sense out of the new presentation. And what happened is we didn't like what the new ordinance was looking like. And so after about a year of negotiation with the subcommittee on the Urban Forestry Commission, let's be careful what you ask for. They turned it back to us and said, okay, here you go. You come up with something. And so, which was kind of good and then not so good. So the best idea on this is getting other boards and commissions involved. We've been working with SACE a little bit. And now that Neighborhood Advisory Committee. And I think the major hurdle is just going to be understanding where open space is going to work its way into infill development and how Asheville is growing and what that looks like. So there's the politics involved, there's the actual physical construction of writing a new ordinance and making it equitable to the development community as well as to the neighborhoods. It's difficult, and I'm glad to have Anna on here because she's a planner as well. I came in just for the fact that for me, open space means trees. And I'm learning that open space does not necessarily mean trees and green space. So it can mean a whole load of concrete. So it's going to be, to try to explain it and get it back to the neighborhoods is going to be difficult. But our first meeting is it this week or next week? It's this week.
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
To try to get everybody to understand it. So my email is posted, and as is my phone number, I believe. If not, you can email me, and I can certainly try my best to explain what's going on with this because it's complicated. So I don't know. That didn't probably answer anything, but it's what I can give you now without wasting a whole lot of your time and getting in the weeds. Any questions? Stay tuned, as they say.
This is Anna, and thank you, Sharon, for going into more detail than I was able to give. And we'll definitely have information to report back to Neighborhood Advisory Committee at our next meeting. I think the intent is to have the task force meetings occur anywhere between every couple of weeks, probably a couple times a month is what I'm guessing will happen. So.
Mhm.
All right. Sorry, what was that, Brenda?
Mr. Fiacola has his hand raised.
Okay, thank you. I am just not able to, okay, here we go. Yes, Joe, please go ahead.
I just had a question. Is there a timeline that your task force is working for? Do you have like a deadline to get something done by, or you don't know because you haven't met yet?
It's been a 2-year process now, and they were hoping it would be a 3-month process. So I'm assuming they wanted this wrapped up because which brings up a topic that I'm hoping to bring up later on new business. Urban Place, Urban Centers is coming, and that goes to P&Z, I think March 3rd. And they're hoping that open space can tie in with Urban Place and Urban Centers. So I have a feeling that, Joe, they're going to want this to be wrapped up. The problem is we have a whole load of new boards and commissions with trying to explain the ordinance in the first place is going to take a while. So yes, the short answer is they'd like to have this wrapped up as soon as possible. When that is, I have no idea. We have to see. I can report more after our first meeting, as Anna said.
Thank you.
All right. There are no other questions about that. We can move on to retreat planning for 2021. And this is something that wanted to bring to the table today and begin discussions about how our 2021 NAC retreat might look. And we're obviously a little bit behind in not holding a 2020 retreat due to COVID. But one thought that we had, or that I had in talking with Brenda too, is potentially scheduling our 2021 retreat to take place at our April 26th meeting, which would give us 2 months to plan for that, and is something that we could, I think, do a lot of legwork in advance electronically so that we came to that meeting with clear objectives and goals and desired outcomes for the meeting. So Brenda, if I left anything out, please chime in. But other than that, if anyone has any thoughts or discussion on that, I see Sharon's hand up, so please go ahead.
So I have a retreat on the Urban Forestry Commission that's 5 hours. Can we please keep ours under 5 hours?
You got it.
That's all I care is if we could keep it down to, I don't know what our goals are for, because I'm so new, this is my second meeting. I don't know what generally our goals that we're looking for. I do on my other boards and commission, but this I don't know. So, but if we could keep it to under 5 hours, that would make me really happy. So, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could explain a little further, we're going to look at providing you a way to kind of put down items that you want to put in your work plan for 21-22. So you will list some of the things that you feel like you'd like to be in that work plan, remembering that you only have a year. And you can also add things that are beyond a year. I will also share on the webpage, on the NAC's webpage is their current work plan. So we can look at that, see where we are with those items. If something needs to be moved over to 21-22, And then we'll do a little legwork prior to that. So your meeting, your 90-minute meeting, should only be to discuss those items, look at where you want to get started, think about any committees you want to form to get information, research, that kind of stuff. Does that help? Okay.
And this is Anna. As Brenda mentioned, a lot of that information is already posted on the city website, but I can pull some links. I started looking at the, I think, 2019, 2020 goals today prior to the meeting. So I think that will provide us good framework to get started. Greta, I see your hand up, so please go ahead.
Thanks, Anna. Yes, this is Greta Bush. I guess my question is maybe more for Brenda. I'm wondering if you know if the city will have a better idea on how often we will meet after the summer. Because if we're going to be staying on an every other month timeline, it seems like that also might restrict our goal setting because, you know, we have half as much time to get the work done. And that will just, I know nobody knows the future, but as much as we can predict, you know, in 2021.
Well, I'm just going to get, all I can tell you now is we're going to get to June. Once we get to June, I've got Jeremy up and going on his role. Then perhaps we can go to monthly, but it was just a bit too much. I'm your only liaison with no secretary. So it was a little much. So we can start probably in July meeting monthly. I know we have a team that's working on all of that, and I can keep you apprised of that at our April meeting too.
Okay.
So if that helps.
That's great.
But please remember, even if you met every month, you still only have a year. So things that take more than a year, you need to identify those. Things that you can do right away. I'm going to suggest that you do your research before the meeting. Meetings should never be work meetings. You should be coming in to report on what you have done and where you're going. And then if you want to set, you know, any more goals, that would be great. Just encourage you to do that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for the question. Great question.
Wendy, I see your hand up as well, so please go ahead.
Thank you, Anna. This is Wendy Hayner. I just wanted to say thank you, Anna, for sending those out to us, that you, the goals from 19 and 20 for us to review. I appreciate that.
Sure thing. And Brenda, is this something we need to take a vote for, or just do we want to go ahead and confirm that now that our April meeting will function as our 2021 retreat?
You don't need to take a vote on that. You just need to get consensus that everybody's good with it.
Okay.
And then we'll send out some, you and I and Barbette will look at, our vice chair will look at the work plan, the current work plan, and we'll send that out maybe through a Google form, and people can kind of list the things that they feel like should be a priority. I know you guys will be working on the open space. There's a couple other things that'll be coming up. And then we'll send that out probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks to give them a couple of weeks to look it over, and then do a little homework research, and then we'll have our retreat on April 26th at 5.
This is Anna. That sounds great. I guess, do we want to open it up for consensus now, Brenda, or do we at this meeting?
Unless somebody has an objection, we're going to send them the agenda items, you know, the form to kind of look at, start making those recommendations for things that they need to work on. And between that process of sending that out, them doing whatever, we'll come up with our agenda. Unless somebody just has heartburn that they don't want to do a retreat virtually. Okay, you good?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And so moving on to item 5C under new business is the nomination of NAC officers for 2021 and 2022. And so you all voted for back at our December meeting for me to serve as the NAC chair and for Babette to serve as vice chair. And now we're pretty much just opening up the floor to gauge what NAC's preference is on how to move forward, since again, with COVID, our 2020 schedule was thrown off a little bit, and typically NAC officers are discussed and voted on in June. So it's not necessarily that we have to have any sort of nominating committee. I think speaking for Babette, so Babette, please jump in if I'm wrong, but I think we're both still willing to serve because we just got started in this role. But just kind of wanted to open up the floor for discussion on that as well.
This is Pastor Hardaway. I think that since we've already had you all in place since December, I have no problems with you all serving out the remainder of the term which you all have been approved for. So that's my feelings. Again, this is Pastor Hardaway.
Thank you. And Greta, I see your hand up.
I agree with Pastor Hardaway. The only question I have is, I think we're going to lose our loyal secretary come June, Joe. So do we vote at the April meeting or figure out? I don't know how we're going to replace the secretary.
I will speak to that. Your secretary is Mr. Jeremy Lett. Moving forward, staff will be doing minutes. We're probably one of the only boards that had one of our members of the committee doing it. So Jeremy will be supporting me in that. And just to give you a sense of how our progress will be, we are looking at keeping these meetings hybrid. So even when we go back to probably in-person meetings, these will be recorded. They'll be on YouTube, that kind of stuff. So even if I can't be here and Jeremy has to run your meeting, we will have a recording of the meeting. So does that help everyone? Everybody good? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Joe, I saw your hand up and it looks like you put it down, but just wanted to acknowledge that in case there's anything you wanted to
I was going to bring that up. I don't know if we need to change our bylaws and remove the secretary position, but that's for another day.
Noted. Yeah.
Yep. And we can put the bylaws on the retreat. That would be great.
That sounds great. All right. So I think the outcome of that is Babette and I will continue to serve as vice chair and chair for the time being. So moving on to 5D, we're talking about regions and I'll hand it over to you, Brenda.
No problem. I actually was working on this. And so what I thought was retreat would be a good time to kind of talk about regions. We have two very new members, Mr. Abzug and Ms. Hayner. And I'd like to take some time for us to talk about, even if you know you're in regions based on your zip codes, what does that mean and what do you want that to do, right? Because initially last year, I was suggesting that you outreach to the neighborhoods within 28804, 28805. That was a way to extend what I was doing in terms of going to neighborhood meetings, that kind of stuff. And that seemed to work pretty well for most of you. But I want us to talk about what does that look like. So I will still provide that to you soon in a future email so you can take a look at it. But the goal would be to divide and conquer, right? So in Iwana, which is where Ms. Roney lives, they would hear from Ms. Anna Sexton. And I think she did a really great job forwarding information to them. But the goal is to make sure that you are staying in contact with those neighborhoods, because the ultimate goal in the next few years, we have over 150 neighborhoods, less than 70 are registered. The goal is to get some contact or information from all neighborhoods. And in order to do that, we've got to have some continual outreach, and 2 employees can do a lot with 9 board members. So I will get that list out to you, but just look for that soon, if that's good with you guys.
This is Anna, and that sounds great to me. is also a reminder for me to liaise a little bit more with Awana, since I'm now a member of that neighborhood. Greta, I see your hand up.
Thanks, Anna. Yep, this is Greta. I think that's great, Brenda, what you said. I think for the at-large members, let's talk about that too. Like, where do we fill in the gaps, I guess? And if there's like a master email list or something that we can tap into, that would be helpful.
When you say the gaps, this is Brenda Mills, may I ask what you mean?
Yeah, I guess just as an at-large member, since I don't have a specific, well, we are kind of also assigned to additional zip codes, but if there's overlap in some areas and then no one's covering in other areas, like maybe you can assign the at-large members to wherever you need us. I guess just give us a little more direction on wherever we need to go.
Okay, that's a great question. So what happened was Mike serves as an at-large member, if I'm correct. And so he chose to work with Anna for a period of time, even though he's in the 28801 area. He has property in West Asheville, so he chose to work with Anna for a while. So we'll ask you what your pleasure is.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I'm in East, so, you know.
You got a lot of help now, You got a lot of help now, Greta.
Yeah. And I guess I would just need more access to, like, what are the other East communication channels besides my own?
And always remember, I'm just going to keep reminding you, there is a neighborhood services page. And if you go to that page, there's a Map Asheville neighborhood map, and all of the current registered neighborhoods are there. I do need to do a few updates on contacts, but it's generally all there.
Okay, thank you.
This is Anna. I'm wondering too, and I don't want to create more work for you, Brenda, but it could be an item for our retreat. Wondering if maybe folks who are serving in at-large roles, maybe there's some way we could identify and do some targeted outreach for some of those neighborhoods that we haven't been able to establish regular contact with, and that might be a way to kind of out.
I can give you an idea of those neighborhoods.
Okay, thank you. All right, so any other thoughts on that from anyone? Okay. Move on to our next item, which is attendance at other boards and commissions. Brenda, a quick question for you. So I serve as the, again, this is Anna Sexton. I serve as the Neighborhood Advisory Committee's liaison to the Multi-Transportation Commission. And we did have a January meeting. So is this a space that would be appropriate for me to sort of put some highlights for what we discussed at that meeting?
So what I'd like to do, which is if you're going to attend other meetings and you have feedback, that we get that in advance and put all of that in writing and provide that to every board member before the meeting. Okay. So I didn't make space for that, but you may do that if you need to, right? What we're talking about here is that you guys had mentioned, like Sharon is on Urban Forestry Commission. And so we talked about, in order to spread out your knowledge of what's going on other boards, you may want to think about attending other board meetings. And then what we need to do is get any kind of updates that you have put down in writing to get that to everybody before we have the meeting. Does that make sense? Yeah.
It does. Yeah. And I apologize.
No, that's okay. No, it's a good question.
Yeah. With all of the virtual meetings and whatnot. And it's, to be honest, it's a lot of the work in some ways has been streamlined with meeting minutes being posted on the city website and being able to go through those and reflect on those to pull out tidbits. But I know that just in talking with you, like you said, if there are any commissions or committees or boards that come to mind right now, or if that's something that we want to kind of think through a little bit more strategically for our 2021 retreat. But yeah, for those of you who are just joining the Neighborhood Advisory Committee, as I mentioned, I serve as the Multimodal Transportation Commission, or the liaison to the MMTC. I know Sharon's on the Urban Forestry Commission, and as we said, through that, we're going to also be serving on the Open Space Task Force. But I do see, Greta, your hand up, so please go ahead and chime in.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, this is Greta. I just wanted to mention, and also this could be something maybe we want to talk about at the retreat. In addition to giving feedback from these other committee meetings, maybe we could divide up, once things get back to normal, attending neighborhood meetings. And what I'm thinking is, I know we've had neighborhoods present at our meetings, and that's really good, but we only have, limited amount of time, so we only get to hear from one or two neighborhoods. And I wonder if it might be a better use of time to open up that space in the meetings for something else, but instead people on the committee going to different neighborhood meetings, in between meetings. And then if there's anything that is important to bring back to the committee, we would have a space to just, say this or that neighborhood is having this or that problem, or, a lot of that stuff, if it's urgent, would obviously go to Brenda, but just to keep people in the loop in that way, I guess just like a little bit of a restructuring of that. I know I would find that interesting, and maybe more applicable to NAC than if I was on the Riverfront Development Committee or something like that, unless it's something that impacted neighborhoods that was happening on that committee. But just interested to hear people's thoughts on that.
This is Brenda Mills, staff liaison. Greta, I love that idea. I suggested it, and it went silent somewhere in a hole. It would expand what I and Jeremy are able to do. As I said, we have over almost 70 neighborhoods that are registered. All of them don't meet. All of them don't meet every month. Some of them just have twice meetings. So we'll get an update of those meetings. We can bring that to the retreat. I think it's a good discussion you guys can have, but at least attend the meetings in the regions where you live, right? And then, make any notes. Let me know of any problem, myself or Jeremy, of any problems. And then we can write that up in a report to provide to NAC each month. I think that would be awesome. Thank you.
That'd be great. Yeah, I think it would, at least for me, I would feel a little bit more purpose and connection with the neighborhoods. And I think that the neighborhoods would feel seen if they saw, oh, there's a NAC representative here. Like, that's cool. So awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Pastor Hardaway. I think that's an excellent idea. It does allow the members of the board to get out and get involved in the communities and neighborhoods. And if there's anything that we need to react to, I think channeling things into the president, into Brenda and to us as a group as a whole, will be able to kind of help facilitate some of that. But it's a great idea. Again, it does allow us to go and attend the meetings of the neighborhoods and get around, and they'll see us and we'll be able to see them. I'm often, from the military side, says that boots on the ground, that if you have someone that's actually attending those, us actually attending those neighborhood meetings, then we'll have a keener understanding and insight into what's going on with them. And so I like the idea, even if I am a short term, I guess.
That makes me happy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Anna Sexton. Brenda, do you know how prevalent like social media pages are for various neighborhoods. Like I personally, I'm not going to get on Nextdoor. I don't want to do it. But there are, I think,
Understand.
social media avenues, and I know that I have to think that there are probably some neighborhoods that have more active social media pages than others, but that might be another way to outreach. Or
We can provide that to you. Actually, Jeremy's getting an assignment as he sits there quietly with a smile on his face. We need to do some overhauling and updating of that information. So as a way for him to get to know the neighborhoods, we're going to go through and check all the links, look at everything. And so when I send you your regional list, it'll have all those links on it. We'll try to make those into bit.ly links so that they're not this long. And not many of them are out of date. The intern from 2 years ago updated a lot of them, but we just need to go back in. And just to be clear, there are at least 5 or 6 neighborhoods that meet virtually. So for those that meet virtually, I will get you that information if it's in your region, and then you can contact them about being added to their notices about meetings.
that'd be wonderful. Thank you. Do we have any other thoughts on this item before we move on to the next? All right, looks like we're ready to move on. We'll move on to item F, which is board and committee vacancies for 2021. And, Brenda, do you want to go ahead and talk about this? Okay.
Yes, so we are losing Joe Fiacola, our secretary, and Pastor Spencer Hardaway. As of June 30th, they will have finished their second terms as part of NAC. Mike Wasmer did an initial partial term, so he is finishing his first full term and he is eligible to renew. So he'll just need to let us know that. It's maybe by the April meeting, Mike, if you want to remain.
This is Mike. I certainly would be interested in remaining.
Sounds great. Awesome. So what will happen is our clerk, deputy clerk, they get those vacancies out every month. And so they'll be advertising for the 3 spots, and we'll let them know Mike wants to remain. He has a perfect attendance record, so there shouldn't be a problem with that. And then we'll know more about our new members by June. So hopefully we're on a pretty regular schedule. Also, yes, and so that's it. Yeah.
Thanks, Brenda. Joe, I see your hand up, so please go ahead.
Yes, my name is misspelled on the agenda, for one thing. It's correct on the top, but not on the bottom. And I believe our bylaws say that I can stay in my position until it is filled.
That is correct. It should be filled by June.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's good information. Madam Chair, we have a little oversight. When I made out the agenda, which was probably at midnight, so I'm gonna make that as the reason why I omitted putting the annual report on the agenda. We need to approve that.
Okay, so we need to go ahead and make a motion to amend the agenda to
add the annual report approval.
Okay. All right, I'm going to open it up to, well, first, all right, Greta, you have your hand raised. We'll start with that.
Okay, motion to amend to add the annual report to the agenda.
Pastor Hardaway, I'll second that motion.
Great, all right.
That's a Freudian slip.
We'll go through roll call. Sorry, let me pull up my other tab. All right, so going down the line for that motion, Mike Wasmer.
Aye.
Babette Mays.
Aye.
Peter Abzug.
Aye.
Greta Bush.
Aye.
And I'm sorry, no, I see your hand raised. I did skip over a step to open it up for discussion. Am I going out of turn, Brenda? Doing that?
He can add his notes, and if it changes anything, we'll just have to revote.
Okay.
He's
Okay, thank you. Sharon Sumrall,
Aye.
Joe Fiacola,
Aye.
Pastor Hardaway,
Aye.
Wendy Hayner,
Aye.
and Anna Sexton, myself, aye. So motion carries. Brenda, are we, and that's still TBD on when that is presented to council?
It needs to be to the clerk's office by March 8th. Council has canceled their retreat for February 15 and 16. We have not gotten a date on a new date on when the council will, so they'll be able to read it before they have their council meeting.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And how is that working this year? I know Barbara presented in person last year. That's something where basically I need to present.
So no, you're not. So you're not. So what Phil and Barbara did was a separate report. That was just to update the council from NAC. And right now we're not going to be able to do that. I'm going to try to get the neighborhood hero stuff in there as soon as I can from last year. But this report is provided by every board and commission to council in an effort to kind of hear what you've been doing all year. So I took a stab at this. You all need to read it for those, especially those who are here. And if you have any corrections or changes, to let me know.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Greta, I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Anna. Tell me if I'm not supposed to ask this right now, but so I'm looking at the draft annual report, and I'm just wondering, and it's been a year, so tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember us choosing a neighborhood hero. Was that like?
We did.
Back?
We did last year for 2019 in February or March, but we went into COVID.
Oh.
And so that's the one we need to get on council's agenda, and then we'll start a new search for 2020 in the fall.
So we're gonna kind of be off a year?
Well, sorta. We're gonna still do 2020. It'll just be a different couple of months.
Okay. So this report goes back until when?
This is all of 2020.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
From January to December.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No, that's a great question.
All right. Sorry. Okay, so now we're at future agenda items, correct, Brenda? And so
I'm gonna suggest you vote on the annual report. If there's no changes, you need to motion and approve the annual report to be provided to council by March 8th.
I thought we just did that.
Did you?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, but maybe
No.
I don't know
No,
if
We
voted
voted.
to change the agenda to add the annual
thank you.
report.
right. I thought maybe I was like, oh, wow.
Thank you. All right. All right, so now we will entertain a motion to vote that the annual report is approved and presented to council in March.
March 8th.
Thank you.
Guys, I'll make the motion that we have the interim report to the city council by March. Is that 8th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does that complete my motion? Okay.
Yes, that was Pastor Hardaway. All right. Looking for a second.
I will second that. Wendy Hayner.
Great, thank you. I'll run down the roll. So we have Mike Wasmer,
Aye.
Bobette Mays,
Aye.
Peter Abzug,
Aye.
Greta Bush,
Aye.
Sharon Summerall,
Aye.
Joe Fiacola,
Aye.
Pastor Hardaway,
Aye.
Wendy Hayner,
Aye.
and myself, Anna Sexton, aye. So motion carries unanimously.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, so now moving on to future agenda items. We don't have anything listed right now here, but now I think is the time. So if there's anyone, all right, we've got some raised hands. Please go ahead.
Sorry, I think I had that up from last time, but there were, this is Greta. There were a couple of, my bad. There were a couple of things we just talked about that I'd like to make sure. So this is going to be the retreat, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
talking about attending neighborhood meetings.
Yes.
And I think Brenda talked about talking about regions and what does that mean and what do we want it to look like.
Yes, and Kim, did I see your hand up as well?
I'd like to hear what everyone else has to say first.
Okay. Sharon, please go ahead.
Hi, it's Sharon Summerall. I don't know, because it's like I said, my second meeting. When the hotel moratorium came about, was that on an agenda item and was that discussed on the impact of neighborhoods? Because I don't know if the changes in the UDO, like I'd like to bring up urban place, urban centers, because that's going to affect quite a few neighborhoods with the changes in the development. And I don't know, I've been following this one since 2019. Once again, it's a lot of information. And I don't know if the neighborhoods, we can get it down to sound bites so we can send out to what changes. I know what the changes are in the landscape and buffering standards. And we're working on, I'm also on CAN, the changes on the height and what this is going to look like and how this will potentially impact neighborhoods as they're going to reduce, one thing, they're going to reduce the buffering between single family and multifamily from standard zoning of 30 feet buffering down to 20 feet buffering. They're going to reduce the amount of trees. And so there are some green infrastructure that's definitely going to be changed on this. So I don't know how much NAC goes into the overlays changes that are being proposed.
We didn't receive any sort of presentation on the hotel moratorium, at least in the most recent iteration of it. But I do think that, this is Anna Sexton. Adding items like that will continue to pop up, I think are really important to add to the agenda. I know that we had talked about even, I don't know if having some sort of, the planning department kind of explain to us the different types of development or the different avenues that development can take with regards to overlay districts or conditional zoning or things like that to kind of help us understand what is available for folks to use. But yeah, that's just.
Madam Chair, I do want to update to say that you did have a presentation from Videla on open space and on urban centers. So we did have that, and it's totally fine to have them come back to do that.
Have they updated that information? Or I'm sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm pretty sure they have.
Sorry. Go ahead, Sharon.
Sharon again. My question is that once again, it's dense information that impacts the neighborhoods. And there's certain changes that will definitely impact single family, multifamily residential. And so I personally believe, that's why I do what I do, that the neighborhoods need to know how they're going to be impacted. Staff comes in and they give you the 48 pages, they give you an hour of it running through, and they expect everybody to understand what's going on. And of course, unless you're doing it, you're not going to understand it. And I think it's important that the neighborhoods know how they're going to be impacted by the overlay district, whether it's a hotel moratorium or urban centers, and the good and the not so good. But I don't know how we as NAC get that information out to the neighborhoods and give a fair representation of what this new overlay is going to look like. I mean, I'm biased, so I'm going to give you my bias. But I know that we need to present both sides. But I mean, I think there's room for discussion somehow. I don't know, is this a retreat topic on how we want to give information to the neighborhoods? So that, because there's a lot of changes going on in the UDO right now. And well, I said my piece, so I don't know any more to say than that.
I'd like to add it to a retreat topic. I think it's something that will need to be discussed continually throughout NAC's existence, but I think having it, bringing it up at retreat is a good idea. Mike, did you have your hand up earlier?
I was just going to comment. Yeah, this is Mike. Just a moment, daughter. I was just going to comment that a lot of times that we often function as a sounding board when staff has policy changes that they want to present. That allows us to kind of give them some initial feedback as to how neighborhoods might respond, and that I would see as the purpose of it. But if you look at the purpose of NAC, we're quite literally, we're meant to be an advisory situation to council. We're not necessarily advisory to neighborhoods. We filter information from neighborhoods off to council. That's it.
Greta, I see your hand up as well. Go ahead.
Thanks, Anna. Yep, this is Greta. Based on what Michael just said, this might be a big no, but I was wondering if at the retreat we could talk about, I guess, the coming year's vision as far as, it seems like right now we do a lot of communications, listening to neighborhoods and sharing with city staff and council, you know, what they're saying. In the past, we've done a few more things to help develop neighborhoods. So an example is the neighborhood festival had workshops so neighborhoods could come and like learn about different ways that they could, different tools that they could put in their toolkit as far as what their neighborhood associations could do or just ways to help them. So I'm just wondering if that is something that we could talk about at the retreat, reshaping our vision or maybe just strengthening the other component, or if we just want to stay as listening and holding the, oh geez, what do we call them? Issues forums, that sort of thing. So yeah, just like to hear what people think about that.
Bob, I see your hand up, so please go ahead.
Yes, this is Barbette. I just wanted to say that we were already in the process of having a big festival of neighborhoods. We were already in place for doing all of those, for the resources that you're talking about and getting acquainted with all the other neighborhoods. And then COVID hit and we had to stop. But that's a great idea. And we were working with some people from Givens Estate and all over. And that was the intention that we were going to do. So I'm hoping that when all this is over, we'll get to do that again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I saw that as a little bit different because that to me was more of like a celebration of neighborhoods. where people were going to mingle and enjoy each other and meet each other. But I guess I was thinking more along the lines of like fundraiser ideas for your neighborhood, and hey, are you trying to start up a new association? This is how you get registered with the city. And this is how, you get people
Well, we're gonna
involved.
do
I
all
guess
of that.
more like action plan type workshops. I'm sorry about that. I missed what you said.
That was the plan. It was not just to have, the fun, but we were gonna also do that too. That was gonna be incorporated into that day of the festival.
Oh, okay.
With the things that you're saying. Mm-hmm.
Great. Good.
Joe, I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Yeah, this is Joe. I'd like to ask Councilperson Roney. In the past, our council liaisons have had spotty attendance at our meetings, and I hope we haven't bored you too much with this one. But I'm wondering if there's something in particular that council needs for us to be focused on at this point in time, or in the next, for me, 3 months.
Thank you for that question, Joe. I'm sure there are going to be things that council in general will be asking. My goal here is to make sure that I'm reporting back and representing the full council and back and forth representing the full neighborhood advisory committee, not inserting my own voice or opinion. I am available to anybody who would like additional support. I have had some experience with work group breakouts when I was serving on boards and commissions. And this group may find some value in that, in taking a specific situation like open space, open centers, or a zoning change or overlay map. That's something that you could definitely talk about your retreat in general. Another thing that, as I'm hearing these conversations, I'm wondering if communications in general should be part of the retreat, because obviously we are all coming from different neighborhoods and trying to engage, and we're not alone. I'm also thinking about the fact that you don't have public comment on your agenda, but you do have a neighbor who just emailed the chair and I, Michael Stratton from Oakley. Oakley is currently in the process of getting up and running officially, he says, would love to know how to establish a connection. And so I'm not sure if we had a public comment period, if we might have heard from even more neighbors. Obviously, that means it takes more time. But if we have a general process across the board, what are the barriers to that participation? Is it a staff capacity issue? If so, how can this group advocate for more capacity or more support? Things like that. Right now, the City Council Governance Committee meeting tomorrow is going to be talking about moving forward after a pandemic, having some sort of like potential hybrid for having some virtual meeting capacity. So if there was a official endorsement of that kind of action to increase accessibility citywide, coming from a board and commission or a group of boards and commissions, those are the kinds of things where you can elevate from your own personal experience to support the shared values that we have as a community, but also council strategic goals. So it might be a good thing at our retreat to look at the council's strategic goals in general, where you see neighborhood advisory committee fitting in, where your capacity is, where you can break out into smaller groups and get more focused, and how you can participate more fully so that it's not just once a month, or in this case, once every other month, but you could get a lot of work done and find more connections. And I'm trying to speak generally here, just so you have some more ideas of what your options are.
Madam Chair, I want to do a few little updates. Number one, for your wonderful person from Oakley, if they would get in touch with Barbara Nesbitt, they have been organizing. I can get you, Councilman Roney and our chair, I can get you information on their contact. They have been meeting and organized for the last 3 years. It just might be, that's a big community, so it might just be that they haven't made that connection. And number two, regular boards and commissions other than quasi-judicials do not have live call-in or comment. Now they can email in They can leave voicemail. All of that stuff can be done just prior to the meeting. And we are in the process, as boards and commission liaisons, working with the clerk's office, looking at how we may begin doing live call-in for meetings. So that's why the public comment is not there. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Brenda. This group is very lucky to have you as their liaison.
Yes, thank you, Brenda, for that clarification. This is Anna Sexton. I noticed that the public comment was absent, but I figured that there was something intentional behind that. So, kind of a follow-up question to that is, if folks do submit any sort of public comment or go through the public input app ahead of time or leave a message, will that end up being incorporated into? Okay, I figured.
So what we generally do is, you did not have comment this time, but if you have comments in the future, I will let you know those. You will get those prior to the meeting so you can read those. I would ask you not read them, but just talk in subject-wise so that they know you received their comments. And then if you want to respond to any of those, that would be fine.
Thank you. Greta, I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Anna. This is Greta. I really like Councilmember Roney's suggestion about breakouts. That's something we kind of talked about at the December meeting, as far as like how can we email side conversations and still be following the rules. But I like that because, I mean, I'm not sure how it looks exactly, but I like the idea of being able to get more stuff done, because I think we've all been just kind of itching and waiting for things to get back to normal. Like the whole world has, but that's a great idea. Maybe we can talk about that more at the retreat. This retreat list is getting long. We're gonna have to cut stuff. Thank you.
So I do want to just make a point of clarification. Is it a work retreat or is it coming up with your work plan? Because you have 90 minutes. If Sharon doesn't want it to be 5 hours, it needs to be you putting together your work plan. What do we want to focus on? And all these things that you talked about are great. We can put them down. We can, as Councilwoman Roney said, we're going to look at council's 2036 strategic goals. Maybe what we do is create a document where you say, does this land under council's goals? Where does this land under city council goals? Because the city departments are doing the same thing. We have goals. We're only going to get to them if we start being intentional about that. So I just want to remind everybody, although the list is long, it's not a working meeting in terms of getting that stuff done. It is a meeting to look at what your plan will be after the retreat in April. So going forward, those will be your agenda items. That's what you'll be talking about. Does that make sense? And if you want to do it different, just let me know.
So we're going to have it all figured out before the meeting in April.
You'll do a little bit of work, but we're going to send a Google form so that you can I'll list all the things that you already have. We need to start putting those under council strategic goals, and you need to talk about what are the objectives. When you finish talking about open space, urban centers, where do you want to be? So is that educating neighborhoods? Is that making sure that there's this, that, and the other thing? That's what you're going to do in April. Does that make sense? Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
This is just an adjustment for me because, it's been a few years since I've been to a retreat, and the old retreats were working retreats, and we would spend 4 hours, brainstorming and.
Well, you are going to work.
Little group. Yes, just much more quickly and efficiently. Right.
But those topics are huge topics. You're not going to be able to do anything in an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. Sharon says not 5. You're not. So the deal is to put it down, say what you want to focus on. What does that mean, right? Because people have work plans, but they don't put objectives. What does success look like? How do we measure that? Those types of things. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks. I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. This is Wendy Haynes. I'd like to ask Brenda a question, please. So after you send this out to all of us, we will be able to respond with our list of objectives and goals and then you're going to consolidate those and make sure that there's not any duplications. And then we will be able to have that as our working document.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
We'll do as much, work as we can. No voting, no collusion. But we'll do as much work as we can so you can take your 90 minutes, 2 hours, whatever you set as that meeting time to really dig into, are we good with this? How do we prioritize this? What do we want to get done this year? What can you reasonably get done this year? And some of those things are just asking for more information, doing research this year. The next year, we're going to do something else. So like when you talk about, Sharon was just talking about urban places, urban planning. There's been more work on that. We can have some information. Like maybe we request planning to make that stuff easier to understand. List for me, talk to me as I'm a 5-year-old and tell me what is that going to do to me living in South Asheville? How does that impact me, right? And so those are, I know that sounds simple, but those are things that your constituents need, right? Because I can't even read the Muni Code sometimes. Mm-hmm. So that is some work that I think that would be beneficial for you to advocate for your neighbors and your community.
Thank you.
This is Anna. Brenda, I think that all sounds great. I think that just to kind of echo what others have said, having this be a retreat where we come out of it with goals and objectives solidified will, I think, make a lot more sense in informing how we want to set agendas for future meetings rather than setting agendas in tandem with goals and objectives that there's probably going to be a lot of overlap there, but it doesn't completely align. I think it makes sense. Going to open up the floor one more time to just chime in on the future agenda items discussion before moving on. Okay, looks like we're good. So our next regular meeting, as we've mentioned, is going to be on Monday, April 26th. And do we want to clarify same time, Brenda, or TV? Mm-hmm. Okay, same time.
And would you like your meeting to be, typically your meetings have been about 2 hours. Do you want to allot 2 hours for this next meeting since it's a retreat or more?
Personally, and please, raise your hand and chime in. I would like to see it be 2 hours and set a reasonable goal for covering whatever we need to cover in 2 hours. So that's my opinion on it. Looks like we've got a race unknown.
Just Pat Hardaway. I'm sorry. Okay. I agree. I agree with Sharon's idea about not being 5 hours, and I agree with yours being 2 hours or 2.5 hours. So we can kind of split it in the middle there. Give us opportunity to kind of refocus, refresh, and refine what we're going to do on our outlook of the future. This COVID has created some challenges as we go forward. I don't know if we'll ever go back to being what it was before, but we'll definitely have to shape how it's going to go forward and how we're going to go forward to make an impact and to represent to listen and hear what the neighborhoods are saying, and also to be able to bring some good advice to the city council as well. And Kim, I appreciate you being here. I understand some of the challenges city council has is trying to be here, but again, if that alleviates them from having to make another meeting to be with to send you here, and I appreciate you here. And Brenda, I appreciate you getting some help too.
Thank you.
I didn't answer this from Joe earlier. This is Kim, and I appreciate that. My intention is to be here as much as possible.
Greta, I saw your hand up too, but I think you put it back down, but wanted to give you the opportunity.
Oh, I just wanted to say I also think 2 hours is good. And Kim, I'm glad that you want to hang out with us a lot.
Right. Good deal. I think that will allow us to move on to adjourning, and Brenda walked me through this. Do I just, as chair, say, now we adjourn the meeting unless any objections?
That's it.
And that's it. And we did it at 6:31, y'all, so way to stay on time. Any
I
objections?
want to.
All right. So adjourned. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody have a great evening.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Hi, thank you all.
too.
All right, thank you.
Brenda, do you want me to stay on the line?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jeremy, you too.
Okay, I'm trying to get out.
I don't know.
We gotta get you in, get you out. I'm just